Good morning, motherfuckers. I hope everything's going well. I, I'm still unimpressed by the amount of dishonesty that I see on a regular basis, lawlessness, disregard for laws of the land and order. I mean, we could we could take a very close look at this when we see what happened January 6th. These people actually believed they had a right to overturn the election and overthrow the government. Can you believe that? They believed that they could do that. That means they absolutely have a very skewed knowledge of the Constitution and the law. Now, had they had a powerful enough military force, they could have come in, killed the whole Congress, and taken over from that respect. Whereupon that shitball, who was still in office, could have declared martial law. That's right. Now, of course, the election results had already been tallied, so he would have been in error. And then when Biden would have taken the presidency, he would have had to remove Trump by force. Thankfully, that didn't happen. However, we still have a huge problem. People believe the election was stolen, despite massive evidence to the contrary. Can you believe that? Can you believe? What a bunch of fucking idiots. We're in a country of fucking idiots. The whole country isn't like that. So out of the 74 million that voted for Trump, a lot of those people were doing it because they thought he really improved the economy, and they really believed that 4 more years it would be even better, that he would really get things straightened out. Well, see, I mean, a lot of commentators have pointed this out. Trump latched on to some of the populist ideals that Bernie Sanders had. You know, he was going to fix the healthcare system. He was going to make things more equitable. How was he going to do that? Well, his whole idea is why this nonsense of the opportunity zones. He was going to give folks who were in poverty opportunities to get out of it by working for him. Well, he has a long record of being an unfriendly, no-good son of a bitch when it comes to labor and when it comes to the workers. This man has never been a friend of the worker. And yet, people bought into that shit like they bought into Ronald Reagan. You know, so I had kind of a minor disagreement with a friend of mine who is another crazy person. Thankfully, I keep my distance. I'm going to keep my distance with crazy people. Because crazy people, all they do is fuck things up. I had a long-time acquaintance who had been a lover, who had been sort of a girlfriend about 35 years ago, who posts this shit on Facebook accusing Biden of being a liar and all these things. He accused him of everything that somebody had written about Trump. What a joke. Now, look, I'm not a Biden fan. I don't really like Biden that much because he wants to cross the aisle. The only thing that we need to cross the aisle with is a rhetorical AK-47. These guys need to have their asses kicked. You know, Newt Gingrich, and I saw a nice special on this last night, I think it was on CNN, talking about how Newt Gingrich is really the culprit. He is really the motherfucker that fucked things up. Okay, well, things were fucked up anyway because we had countries being led by, basically with systemic white supremacy, systemic racism. Well, this is the kind of country we've had. And, this bipartisan thing, okay, it's kind of ridiculous because when both parties are wrong, what good is that? Excuse me. And here's the problem. The Democrats are the party of Wall Street. This is pretty much verified. Now, there are progressive Democrats who definitely are not. You know, there's like Elizabeth Warren in the Senate and Bernie Sanders, maybe Ed Markey, a couple other people, Sherrod Brown. A few of those senators are not. They're progressives. In the House, there's a nice progressive caucus, okay? So it's not all Democrats, but by and large, your middle-of-the-road standard Democrat is a Wall Street contributed to candidate on an ongoing basis. The fact that these guys have to only have a 2-year bid is bullshit. The 2-year bid needs to go away. I get itchy nose in the morning. Yeah, that has to go away. These people should be in for 6 years, in my opinion. Of course, what's the negative on that? The negative is you're going to get some guys in there that should only be in there for like 3 days. Like, you don't want Marjorie Taylor Greene and that other, what's her name, bitch from Colorado. You don't want them in there for 6 years. So maybe we need a compromise, maybe 3 years. It'll give them a chance to either fix things or fuck things up and then get reelected. Okay? Senate, abolish the Senate. Senate is a useless fucking organ. It's kind of built on the old House of Lords idea from Britain. And it's unnecessary. At the time that the Senate was instituted, it was necessary because we needed balance, according to their political makeup at the time. However, now it's just completely unrepresentative of the people. Yeah, and guess what? This is going to be a brown country. Yay! I'm part brown. I like the idea. I've always liked the idea of no race. Yeah, we have to erase race. We have to replace race with class and culture. That has to be done. We have to do that. How do we do that? It's a long process. Probably won't take effect until after I'm dead. Now, here's the other thing. The most imminent of all problems that we have is climate change. And the deniers are out there. They're fucking chiming, blah, 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 blah. They're full of shit. The deniers are full of shit. Basically, there's a great deal of them which are trolls for the oil and gas industry. I mean, look at the backlash over shutting down the Keystone Pipeline. Yeah, 11,000 jobs will be lost. Now, millions of jobs can be replaced. How? We need the infrastructure program. And if there's money left over from this stimulus that's coming, that money needs to go towards infrastructure. And the Congress can do that. We need infrastructure now. Once we get this pandemic under control, we can institute a massive infrastructure program. We can employ those people in the rural parts and the blue-collar type persons to a great extent, pay the fuck out of them. And if we do that, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to increase their standard of living and they're going to spend all the money back in the economy. And I agree with some of my favorites, like Richard Wolff, on this. The way to do this is not just to give people money, is to create a massive federal and state jobs program that employs people, and that actually maybe can be a pilot program for worker cooperatives. Just think if you had construction companies made up of the workers and worker cooperatives. I'm not saying everybody, because everybody's not going to do that. There's always going to be a guy that's going to want to be on his own, want to be a maverick. That's my take. This is what we need, and we need it now, motherfuckers. The problem is if we don't do this and if we don't green ourselves up. Now, here's another thing, and I've been looking into this pretty extensively. Hold on a second. I'm going to switch the angle on this a little bit. Yeah, we're going to get this a little better. Okay. So, here's the other thing that we need, in my opinion. We need a concerted effort to green ourselves up. Okay, so it's all talk about the renewables, the sustainables, blah, blah, blah. We need more trees. Well, that's a definite. We need carbon being sequestered in the soil. That's the main way that we need to get rid of the carbon. And if we have more plants, we're going to have to get a lot of heat-resistant plants out there that pump out a lot of oxygen and a lot of water vapor. What's that going to do? It's going to create almost a rainforest type of effect where possible. And what's that going to do? It's going to make more oxygen. What's that going to do? It's going to enhance the planet. That's a good thing. Okay, we have to do that. However, the carbon debt in creating renewable, sustainable green energy is pretty great. Now, there is a lot of molten salt reactor research going on, and it looks like this is really the way to go. Because we need a lot of heat to do a lot of things, and we need a lot of energy, and it's got the greatest return on the investment. You get 2,000 times more energy out of a nuclear than you do the other methods. 2,000 times. Now, here's the thing. The old water cooled fission reactors, no. The molten salt reactors have a lot more promise, and there's a lot of research going on now. There's like 10 companies that are literally working their fucking asses off to get this done. However, the timeline involves how quickly can we get these online. See, with those types of reactors using thorium as the base element, you can almost reuse all of the waste as nuclear fuel. The other thing is you can make a lot of small reactors. So if we put small reactors in rural communities, farm communities, we can give those folks cheap energy. If we give them cheap energy and we get internet infrastructure into them and we get all the things to them that they need that people enjoy in an urban environment, it can decentralize the urban environment. The other thing is about 17% of the carbon emission comes from transportation. Now, that's not just you and I driving our cars, that's in general. If we can cut that down by 2/3, that's right, motherfuckers, you don't need to be going a whole bunch of different places. Get yourself a fucking wind cell device, go all electric. But you motherfuckers don't need to be going anywhere and running all over hell. If you don't like where you are, find some place that you like and stay there. See, people have been spoiled. They've been changed into, we've got to move around, we've got to do all this shit, we've got to look at this and look at that and be in there. Okay, I've been all over this country. I really love lots of parts of this country. However, a lot of the places that I really love, I don't need to go to anymore. And neither does anyone else. Yeah, that's right. I want to impose that part of my will on a lot of people. Because what does this do? It pumps more shit in the air. That's right. Now, if you can do that without doing that, go do it. I don't care if you want to move every fucking 3 days. Go ahead and do that. I have no desire to do that. It's too debilitating for me to do that. And I think it's a huge waste of time. And I think that it also lessens the extent of somebody's involvement in their community. Tell me, can you be involved in a community in which you're only in for like 2 days? No. So I'm against that. If people are going to do what they want to do, they have the freedom to do it, and I support their right to do what they want to do, except when it limits the freedoms and causes injury to the rest of us. Big point here. Okay, so where's the other place? The military. The military-industrial complex is a major culprit with carbon emissions. They need to go entirely green, and they can do that with nuclear. If we get them to nuclear right away, and I'm talking about these small molten salt reactors coming online, if they can come online fast enough, but my fear is it's not going to happen quick enough, and by in 10 years we're done. We're just basically done. The clock will not have rolled back or moved forward to a sustainable, renewable place. We're done. That's my fear. This is going to take a massive effort. It's not going to take a bunch of negotiation with the fossil fuel industry. They must be destroyed. They must be transitioned out of. Now, I'm having a hard time believing that they haven't got on board with being able to make the transition. I'm having a hard time believing that. I mean, Exxon knew about this shit in the 70s. And what did they do? What have they done to make the transition? Now, it appears that the big culprit, the Horizon fucking disaster down in the Gulf, it appears that BP has tried to make some efforts to move into that area. Well, unless BP gets awful fucking green, that ain't going to happen, is it? See, this is what the struggle is. It's between... Now, there's a lot of these commentators, pundits, news type investigative people that say that, okay, so we got two factions in the government. We got the Wall Street faction, which is largely made up of Democrats, and then we have the fossil fuel industry faction, which is largely made up of Republicans. Okay, so now we know that Republicans are a minority in this country. We need to continue to move away from them and have like-minded people who are going to like recant their bullshit beliefs and move over to become progressives. Now, there was a time when there were Republican progressives like Teddy Roosevelt. Well, Teddy was a fucking imperialist. Let's look at his history. He was an imperialist. People liked him because he said, walk softly and carry a big stick. Okay, great. Well, look what he did. Look at the Spanish-American War that he sort of engineered when he was, what was he, Secretary of War then or something? Secretary of State? I forget. I'm not here to give a history lesson. I'm not up on that anymore. So there was a time where we had Republican progressives. Also, what people don't know about Lincoln was pro-labor. He likened labor to American labor to another part. This is really fucking cool. He likened that whole labor thing to slavery. He said it's the next step in slavery. And I agree. And most of your Marxian economists agree. Here's the thing also. Lincoln, I think, might have read Marx and absorbed a little bit of Marx. Interesting, huh? Wouldn't a lot of Republicans roll over in their party of Lincoln graves on this one, especially you cocksuckers at the Lincoln Well, I shouldn't call you cocksuckers. That's a noble thing. Shit eaters and shit spewers at the various places like the Heritage Foundation, even the Lincoln Project. Don't kid yourselves, folks. The Lincoln Project is made up of former conservative small government Republicans. These sons of bitches need to go. They've served their purpose. They helped get rid of Trump. Now we've got Biden. He's going to kiss a lot of Wall Street ass. That's the problem. He's going to kiss Wall Street ass. He's going to, this whole bipartisan thing, bullshit. What we have to do is change hearts and minds. And maybe his folks can do that to a certain extent. I think they have done it to a certain extent. But we need progressives. We don't need conservative Democrats. We don't need small government politicians. Because there's never going to be any such thing as small government. Why? Well, okay, so here's a problem with the libertarian idealism. Libertarian idealism is bullshit. It doesn't work. It's fantasy land. Why? Because it ignores human nature. It's calling for what they consider to be the best parts of human nature to come forward. It's calling on that. And that's bullshit. You and I both know it's bullshit. It's not going to happen. People are greedy. People are fearful. People are going to do the most they can to get power. People also crave power. People want power. Get it? I get it. Here's another problem. A big problem with all of this has to do a great deal with the oligarchies and the oligopoly is what they call it. We have an oligopoly. Basically, the state is controlled by business. Mostly these big transnational corporations who pay little or no tax, who write laws through their lobbyists. This is where it's controlled. So what we need to do? Cut the nuts off the pharmaceutical industry, turn it into a worker co-op, not state-owned, worker-owned. Also, what do we need to do? We need to tax the fuck out of Wall Street. Okay, so let's say you got $100 million in stock. Okay, we're going to tax the fuck out of that. Yeah, like property. We're going to tax it like property tax. Yeah, right? So then, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to move it overseas. Okay, great. If you do that, then you're going to have to pay tax on that too. And if you don't, and if we don't get transparency from the overseas people, we're going to kick your fucking ass out of here and seize your assets. That's right. That's right. You have a responsibility to this country in being a wealthy person to do your fair share for community growth and involvement. If you don't want to take stock in your community and improve your community, now some companies try to do this, they even name a road after their company going into them, and they improve that road and they keep that road up, and yeah, maybe they have, education programs for their workers and things like that. Don't fool yourself. Most of these companies are not pro-worker. They are pro-profit. It's always been profits before people. How do you think we got slavery, motherfucker? What do you think slavery was all about? Yeah, what was slavery? What was Jim Crow shit all about? Yeah, what is it? What was when the Dixiecrats moved over to the Republican Party? What was that all about? That's right. So this shit all needs to go. I know I'm on one. I just had some coffee. It's a great morning here. Cats went out. Look at that great Taylor guitar up there, which Too many guitars and not taking the time to play them. There we go. Anyhow, okay, everyone. If you really want to do something, you got to get involved. I'm involved. I'm going to get more involved as my physical well-being permits. I have some debilitating illnesses which keep me from getting out in the public and doing shit. And when I retire, I'm going full bore. This is a promise, you motherfuckers. I'm going to be up there and out there. At any rate, it's Sunday. It's Super Bowel Sunday. It's the Super Bowel. The Bowel. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Super Bowl. I shouldn't say that. I am a fan of football. I like football. I've been watching football since I was a kid. However, what has happened to football and most professional sports, they're so commercialized, they're not enjoyable. You hear that? They're not enjoyable. What I do with football, I don't watch it live. I tape all the games, and then I flip through them so I miss all the commercials. So a game that would take about 2.5 to 3 hours because of commercials and bullshit commentary. There's another thing. Commentary? Fuck the commentary. I don't need the goddamn commentary. I don't participate in fantasy football. I'm not interested in it. Oh, 'cause if you are, great. You can do that. We have the freedom to do that. Here's the thing. I flip through the games. I spend about 40 minutes on each game, and they're enjoyable that way. And if I see which way the game's going to go, and it's not a team I want to see slaughter the other team, then I get off of it and watch something else. That's the way it works. So today is Super Bowl. Okay, Tampa Bay versus the Chiefs. Well, I want the Chiefs to win. I'm not a fan of Tampa Bay at all for several reasons. Okay, one, I hate Florida, number one. I don't like Florida. I don't like what's happened there. I can't wait for it to sink beneath the waves. That's right, motherfucker. Florida's going to sink beneath the waves unless we do something. It ain't happening. Miami is already sinking. Two, and the first one really isn't that important. It's just a pet peeve. Okay, number two, I don't like Tom Brady. Never have liked Tom Brady. Tom Brady's an asshole. He was a Trump sucker, okay? And people want to tell me that's because of Robert Kraft. No. Fuck Robert Kraft. Fuck Tom Brady. Fuck the New England Patriots. I'm glad they're not in there. So now Tom Brady goes down, and Bruce Arians is now coaching Tampa Bay. He's done a great job. Tom Brady has done a great job. He's a great quarterback, and Bruce Arians is a great coach. I still want to know why he left the Cardinals and then shows up 2-3 years later being the head coach of Tampa Bay. You see, I'm pissed at Bruce over that. I also got to be pissed at Cardinal ownership. They got rid of the best coach they ever had. Now, I like this new guy they have, Cliff Kingsbury, but I don't know. I don't know if he's ready for NFL prime time. I don't know if he is or not. And we got Kyler Murray. If you don't build a fucking offensive wall around him, an offensive line wall, he's going to get injured and he's going to be done. That's what happens to these guys. So I don't like Bruce because he is a defector, okay? He's another one of these prophets before, the community and the team guys. Fuck you, Bruce. I know, the ownership of the Cardinals is fucked. They suck. They don't do the right thing. They're all about the money. So don't go to their fucking games. I don't. Two, Tom Brady, I never liked Tom Brady. He's a great quarterback. I know I talked about him earlier. Let me put him in his proper perspective. He's always been a great quarterback. How many Super Bowl rings does he have? 6, I think, something like that. The son of a bitch is a great quarterback. What can I tell you? I just don't like him, okay? And even his wife is kind of down on him and his bullshit with his Trump crap. And then now they're in Florida because she wanted to get out of Boston, which you can't blame her for that, I guess. But why go to Florida? God, what a horrible... No, I want Tom Brady's ass beaten, and I want Mahomes to just kind of walk over him very professionally and outperform him today. So that's me on the Super Bowl. I'm calling it even up because I think that Tampa Bay is underrated. I don't get me wrong, Kansas City's a great team, but they have that weakness in defense that could cause them to get beaten. So I'm going to say even up, maybe an edge to Tampa Bay as a long shot. However, I want Kansas City to win. Okay, folks, so that's it. That's Super Bowel Sunday. Don't drink too much. Don't eat too much. Have sex. Watch TV. Laugh. Have fun. And go progressive.